close. I see the world, but it's through this window. Another side to see, I'm ready to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why, I wanna know why you're the way you are. He's from the city, she's from the south. Two different chapters told miles out. The back row living in his White House. So many stories that I need to know. Not every story's written on a sleeve. Some stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why you're the way you are. So many stories right in front of me. Some people climb to heights I've never seen. Too many falling down off their feet. These stories take digging deep. Eyes wide open, words unspoken. Where are you going, darling? Where have you been? Stories to tell, emotions we felt, good and the bad in the hands we've been dealt. I wanna know why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are. Why you're the way you are.
Woo! Why is it, maybe that's... Oh. There we go, that's
Roland's
better.
figuring it out.
Yeah. Well, so we went live. I got to show the bumper, like 3 times. If you'll notice on the stream, it goes starts again, and okay, now we're... But my window is odd shaped. So, why is it odd shaped? Is it because... okay, I guess I see what I'm doing here, maybe, I don't know. So hello everyone and welcome to Silver Sunday on this day, June the 6th. So,
Day of technical difficulty.
apologize for the slightly later start because I have just rolled in from Lake Collecticon up in Leesburg, Florida, which is about an hour away from me-ish. So it was a good time. Lots of people out, lots of people buying comics, which was exciting to see. Lots of people looking at more people looking at comics than buying comics, but lots of people out and about, and that was very good to see. So big kudos to Greg Boney for putting on the show, putting on a good show as he always does. So Greg, if by any chance you're listening to this, thank you very much, sir. Silverline was there, and we had a blast. So that was a lot of fun. And if the Wednesday Whammers are listening, hold on, I gotta get my restream up. Hey, Stephen Brown says hello. Wubba Fett says hola, Silverliners. What's up, you two?
Hey, Wubba.
Yeah, we miss you, Wubba.
How come you're not here, Wubba?
The Wubbinator.
The Wubbinator. Yeah, actually, we were talking about Wubba a little bit tonight too. Talking about let's see, who did we talk about? We talked about Wubba. We talked about Roberta. We talked about Aaron. We talked about Quentin. We talked about John. Hey, we talked about all you guys tonight.
She wouldn't be worried.
No. It was all good stuff. So after the
All good
show,
stuff.
at the show was Brent Larson, who does
Nice.
Kalis. He was there.
Yeah.
John Crowther was there, the creator writer of Teen Beetle, and Rochelle and a whole bunch of other stuff that he does, non-Silverline books. Although Rochelle is coming to Silverline, so that's exciting. Thomas Flormonti was there, and who everybody knows, and Haley Martin was there, who is the artist for Bear, which is almost done. But yeah, we talked about all of you guys, talked about the stream, and how cool all of you are, and how it's fun to be associated with you guys. Partly, a lot of this kind of came up because we had the signature book there, and we actually a couple folks bought them and got us all to sign them, so that was kind of fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, seeing them kind of go around and,
Yeah.
and get the signatures, and they seem to have fun. Although one guy bought it and then didn't get the signatures, and I told him, I said, "Well, there are 5 of us here. You can get all 5." "Oh, no, I just want the book." I'm like, "It's made for the signatures. We're happy to do it." "Oh, no, I don't want to bother you." Like, "You're no bother to us. We're happy to sign them for you." No. But then as he walked away, he was an older gentleman. As he walked away, I noticed him roll the comics up in his hand that he bought and carry them like, it rolled up
Okay.
bunch. So,
Right.
no bags and boards for him.
I have to sign my name in those. I'm not allowed to draw anything obscene in them.
You can.
That was never said.
That was
Yeah,
never
that
said.
should
No.
be a rule, huh?
Yeah. I guess if someone brings it to you and asks you to draw something obscene, it's their book, and once they buy it, right? So,
Their book.
so yeah, I guess, I should have left a little spot, when we put it together. We should have left little spots for art, but we didn't do that. Stephen Brown said,
I mean-
No, just get the paint pens
Yeah.
out and just go to town.
yeah.
Are the inside covers blank?
No, they're not. You didn't get one?
Oh, okay.
You should have got
Yeah,
one.
I got one. It's
Okay.
just not on me, on my
Okay.
hand, so I just can't remember. So yeah, because I was like, if the inside covers are blank, then you could do sketches there or
I
something.
I think all of you should have received
Yeah, I got one.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah. No.
I've already used mine for kindling. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So.
See, I guess the art could be done on the comic they buy.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely could be. Like, like they could draw any other kind of way. Or you take the paint pens and the markers and Sharpies and stuff like that and draw on it. I always forget how messy my floor is when looking at this thing here. I wonder if I can kind of get off of my floor. Oh, look, we got somebody popping in here. Hey,
Yeah.
hey, Tommy! We can't hear you.
Hello.
You're muted. Oh, and now he went away.
That's why you can't hear him.
He went
You're
away.
welcome.
There he goes.
Oh crap.
He's coming back. He probably heard me say we were talking about all you guys. He wants to come in and say.
He was at the convention
he
with
was,
you
yeah.
today too.
So what I was going to get this.
If y'all were talking about me, I doubt it was anything good.
Oh, it was all good, and that was what was so fun about it. It was all good. We were talking about everybody, and it was all good. Still can't hear you, Tommy. I see your mouth moving, but I cannot hear you.
Hit the microphone button.
It looks like you're.
Or unplug it and plug it back in.
No, can't hear you.
Unplug
See you
it, plug
just
it back
fine.
in.
There you go.
No, I know. I saw
Good.
the little mute sign go away. Or. You're
No, I
mute.
still see it.
I do too, but
Yeah.
I can't hear him.
There should be a microphone next to your name on Discord. There's like a headphone and that. There's a little microphone.
Look at him. Ah!
So much to press.
Yeah. So,
Unplug and plug it back up.
So Stephen
Plug
Brown
your
says,
headphones
coloring
and
my
plug it
comic
back
and
up.
trying to figure out how to get it out there. And then he says, how I'm going to get it out there. Well, we can talk about that, Stephen. The beauty of 2021 is it is so easy to get that done today, and that's nice. Renee, I'm going to apologize for saying your last name wrong, but it's Nadeau says, Quentin! Do you know a Renee Nadeau?
Yes, Renee Nadeau, yes.
Nadeau, okay, yep. She says, Quentin! So,
Hello, Renee. Glad you could make it.
Wubba says, that's what I was thinking. It couldn't have been good. I'm slightly behind on deadlines. Slightly. We talked about that a little bit, but it wasn't in like terrible. Boy, I went orange in my picture, didn't I? So
I think there's something wrong with Tommy's, maybe Tommy's laptop or computer's muted itself.
well, that would mean that he couldn't hear us.
Yeah.
Tommy, you just keep talking. The minute we hear you, we'll let you know that we can hear you.
Maybe hop off and come
Oh
back
yeah.
on.
Yes.
Sandy,
Well, you said testing and we heard you.
Hello.
Yes.
1, 2, 3.
Got
You can
it.
hear?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, I can't stay on for very long. I just wanted to come on and make sure I said thank you for letting us go to the show. It was fun hanging out with everybody. And Mr. Greg that was running the show, Greg Bonart, is that how you pronounce his name? I believe.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I
Bonner?
just call
Yeah,
him
so-
Boney. That's what everybody
Boney?
calls him. Boney.
I'm not. Yeah, he made a. Okay, Boney had a great show. It was fun.
And make it feel awkward for
And we got to hang out. I think you told everybody a few seconds
Yeah.
ago. So it was hanging out with you, John. We got Mr. Brent. Haley was there. Our buddy, which is not a Silverline guy, but Michael McElroy. He was hanging out with us. And
And those of us that went had a nice little after-con dinner. At,
sure, yep, it was great.
At
Wendy's, and you had the smallest Frosty I've ever seen in the world.
I
I
gotta
don't know
send
what
my
you.
wife a picture of
So
that.
cute.
Yeah,
It was
'cause-
crazy, but I don't want to interrupt you guys' show. I just want to say hello, and Miss Roberta, I'm ready for our book to be done. Whoop whoop! It's going to be done pretty soon. I've got
You're getting there, huh?
Roland and I were looking at it. I think I've got 4.5 pages left to go, and then we will. What is that? Oh, there it is.
That's my
There's the
little tiny
tiniest Frosty.
little Frosty.
I mean, that sucker
That's
was
cute.
like an inch and a half tall. It was so
I know.
so.
I didn't
I don't know how
realize-
you could order. I didn't know you could order like a mini size Frosty, but it was tiny. But I hope to see you guys soon. I think I see some of you guys in
Daytona.
when is it? Yeah, in October. So that'll be
Mhm.
great.
September.
And
September.
okay, I'm gonna jump off now. Love you guys. Later on.
All
Bye.
right, Tommy, bye.
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 So yeah,
Exciting.
what's that?
I said that's exciting.
It was very exciting. We had a good time, and like I said, it was good to see. It was good to see all the folks out and about at the show. Buying cool geeky comic-y stuff and buying comics and talking to us about comics. So it was it was fun to see that. So all right, so Brett is not here tonight. Our regular producer is not here tonight. And so it's me again. So I am making my apologies up front for any gaffes that may happen. I take all responsibility for it, but I got the control panel up over there, and I'm trying to watch it and make sure that I'm doing it right. And even then, I'm not sure I am, so I'm just going to keep an eye on it. If you guys see that I'm doing something wrong, please let me know, or if something happens. I'm going to count on you guys to let me know that something has happened. Yeah, there's stuff I want to say, but I'm like, no, I don't need to say this yet on about our secret project. We talked about that some, and we kind of all got excited. John, don't raise your eyebrows. We'll talk about that after the stream. And for those of you who are listening,
I'm allowed to raise my eyebrows.
So shout out to our sponsors, Daytona Beach Comic Con in September. You're going to see a Silverline crew there. In Daytona Beach, obviously, September, I never can't remember. It was 18, 19, 19, 20. I think it's 18, 19. But make your plans to attend Daytona Beach. Silverline will be there, of course, as well as a whole bunch of other comic book makers and guests. And if you like geeky, fun stuff, then that's where you need to be. Also to History Camp, and I apologize I don't have the History Camp information pulled up, but they got a camp coming up, so look up History Camp. They sponsored us because of Steam Patriots.
Steam Patriots.
Mm-hmm. So, and so update on that Kickstarter. If you back the Kickstarter, I have sent you all surveys. So please be sure you get your surveys filled out and back to me so that I can build the thank you page. That's the only thing that I need to do is the thank you page. Everything else is ready, and I could send it to Kablam today. Our printer is Kablam. I could send it to them, but I need that page for thank you for thank you all for supporting us and helping us get this made. So be sure you get that filled in as soon as possible. Plus, we need to know where to send your books, right? So we're very excited about that. It looks like Alex Sarabia is here. What's up, Alex? And Wubba's welcoming everybody. Hello, Roberto. Hadn't seen Roberto in a while, man. Where you been, dude? So yeah, that's the Kickstarter update. That's the sponsors. What have I not done here? Kickstarter, the sponsors. Don't forget, we've got you can find our books. If you missed some of our stuff in the past, you can find our comics on Indie Planet. Just go to indieplanet.com/Silverline, and you'll find everything that's available there. The books that we kickstart are roughly available 2 months after we kickstart, so you won't find Steam Patriots 1 or Divinity 2 there yet, but probably in about a month and a half you can find them there if you missed it, so you can get it there. So okay, so I am Roland. I am the writer of some exciting comic books like Cat and Mouse and Trunks, and the upcoming Silverline team up, which are we going to see any coloring in that?
I'm coloring today.
Yay!
A little bit.
We're
Yes.
going to get to see some.
I'll put it up.
Okay, we're going to get to see
I'm just
some.
doing boring flatting, but I could totally put it up now if you want to.
Absolutely, we want to see that. You know what? Last time I figured out how I could.
Flattening is not boring. It's essential.
Well, I could, oh, yeah, okay,
Watch
there
it.
we go.
True.
So I can, as you are introducing yourselves, hey, Will Spotlight, hey, that's me, I'm Roland. And so, let's see. Roberta, you're next. Tell people who you are.
Hi, I'm Roberta Conroy. I'm a former Malibu comic colorist from the 90s in the LA area.
Which is where we met.
Mm-hmm. And I'm now coloring for Silverline for the Cat and Mouse title and the new Silverline team up, Champion and Miss Fury,
Which
which is almost done.
yes.
Getting there.
Which, for those of you who are following us, we are planning that to be in July, y'all. So, assuming we can get Tommy cracking on the last few pages, we're going to see that one in July. So, Queenobi, tell people who you are.
On here, on Discord, Kenobi, on Facebook, Quentin Bedwell, but I am currently inking and penciling the third book of Trumps, enjoying it, and yep, just very happy to be here.
And you're
Very happy.
You're over the halfway point, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I'm on page 13 as we speak.
That's
Working
right.
on that
Wubba, are
tonight.
you listening? Wubba, can you hear? He's over the halfway point. Wubba, can you hear? Hello, Wubba.
Yeah.
Click, click, click. Wubba, hello. Oh, he hung up.
Testing.
Right.
Testing.
Okay, thank you, Quentin. We might get to see a little video of Trumps tonight as well.
Yes, sir.
Excellent. And next up is Demas30.
Yes, that is my nick, and that is coming from my. I like the name Nicodemus,
That is a cool
so
name,
I just took
right?
the last part,
Mhm.
and so I just took that, and that's how it. And that's been my. It's actually my video game tag. I think it still is. I'm not sure. It's
So
been a
now
while.
all these video gamers are gonna go run looking for you.
Yeah, probably.
Wubba
I
says,
don't think
yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure. They might be my tag. I forget. I only play online with my friends like one day a week. That's Friday. But no, I'm the artist on Fire Rush and the upcoming Obsoletes.
Yep.
And I do my own comic Goblins, which I will be posting another. I'm almost caught up to where I'm at, so I'll be posting one more update tomorrow. Then I think another one. Then I think I might be caught up to where I'm at.
Wow.
I guess just have to wait. So yeah. So
Very cool. Excellent. And last but not least, we have Artistic Viking. The Artistic
everybody.
Viking, not the Autistic Viking.
Yeah, okay. Who knows?
Tell people who you are.
I'm the inker on Fire Rush and Wolf Hunter, and I've done a cover here or there for Silverline. I'm just an inker artist. So
Yep. And we are.
That's
Just an
it.
inker.
What's that?
Just an inker.
Just an inker.
Mhm.
Yeah, and there's a handful of folks we're missing tonight. So shout outs to shouts out
Shouts out.
shouts out to Wubba and Barb and Curtis and Mike.
our penciler, our just a penciler.
Pete.
And just
Yeah.
a penciler.
Just a penciler. Yep. All right, let me get Roberta. Did you share yet?
I'm about to.
Okay. Well, as soon as you share, I'm
No.
gonna put you up there. Wubba says I'm at the halfway point. Also, he's on page 11. So excellent. Yeah, I'm trying to.
Are we gonna make this? Are we
gotta
gonna
win. I
make this
keep-
a
I keep
race?
popping it at Wubba's in Wubba's direction. It's like, dude, come on. And he's like,
Yeah, Wubba and I were able to get in the Discord the other night, and we were shucking the corn together.
Oh,
There we go.
nice.
He was doing
There we
his
go.
pages, I was doing mine. It was awesome.
That's nice.
Y'all
Yeah.
to come by sometime to the hangout. It's awesome.
Well, and that's
This
what
is
I,
a cool page.
that's what I want. That's what I'm hoping that we can kind of use that for. Some in the Discord. I've been on there before. I just kind of by myself when I'm doing some stuff. I just pop it on. I'm like, if anybody swings by, they'll say, yeah, nobody did. But I'll just hang out here. All right, so Roberta, tell us what we're looking at now.
Okay, we got Champion, and he is entering a warehouse and with some, it looks like very dangerous beginnings before the guy trusts him, and he's about to get suited up with a ton of armor.
That's right.
So he wants artillery. This guy's got artillery, so
Nice.
he's coming.
Excellent. So, and we're going to be watching you flat. Is that correct?
Yeah, that is the process of going from a plain black and white page. There's the beautiful inks right there.
Nice.
And then I have to develop a mood. I have to develop a consistency of background and try to make the characters' colors work. And one of the challenges is, trying to say, well, you play around with the colors and get an idea for what you like, and then all of a sudden you're like, wait a minute, I have an idea for the lighting here, and that just ruined it. And so you kind of, it's a process of like, just figuring stuff out till you're happy. It's
Yeah.
really fun.
This is
love
why
color.
good colorists are essential.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
They can make or break a page.
Yeah. Totally agree with that. We are blessed that Roberta is with us here.
Thank you.
one of my biggest problems about a lot of coloring today is not that the colorists don't have skills, it's that I think they have a tendency to over color.
Oversaturate.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, you know what? You don't need all of that. And I don't know if it's that some of them, being young, feel that they have to prove that they've got the chops. I don't know what it is. I'm just kind of, making stuff up to say. I don't know.
Well, Paul Mounts has been in the industry for a while.
Yeah. I did.
And his colors over Joe Bennett on the Immortal Hulk, I feel are just oversaturated for Joe's pencils and Roy's inks over Joe's, which are amazing. It's just oversaturating the line work, and you miss so much of the line work because the colors are just so.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I think part of it, when it happens, like I know when I see like particularly a lot of the Marvel and DC stuff today, you look at it and it's like, it kind of loses that comic booky feel when it's so over rendered, and it's like, cut back on that a little bit. You didn't really need all of that, and so
I agree.
Well, anything that has a lot of texture and a lot of contrast, you look at. So if you want to make your character important in the panel and the background is meticulously colored, you have a hard time deciding where to sit.
Yeah. Yeah. Wubba says, Wubba's got a couple things here. He says, that was fun, Quentin. Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see that turn into a place that we can, even when we're not hanging out on the stream, where we can kind of come and just kind of hang out, kind of our online, hang out a little bit, kind of faking a studio, not really a studio, kind of a fake studio. You know what I mean?
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean, because geographically, just the 5 of us here, we're spread out all over the U.S.
Be our own little bullpen.
Yeah, kind of a virtual thing.
Together on Zoom.
How many people were on the hangout? Was watching the hangout with y'all the other night, Quentin?
Oh, we weren't streaming it. We were just in there, just hanging out.
Oh,
in the hangout.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Roberta, Wubba said, are my pages problematic? They get a bit wonky.
I don't see a problem.
Yeah.
I love them.
Yep. Cool.
I love them. They're great.
And he says, Wubba says, there's art direction from editorial also, I would think.
No.
I think that it's
no. I think you tell me after the fact if some was amiss.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I think there was one time I remember where you're like, I think it was, I didn't color snow. And there was supposed to be snow, and it was in the notes.
Fire.
And you're like, oh, maybe I'll share the notes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think Roland was the kind of editor that if he puts you on something, he trusts you to knock it out to how he sees fit, like how it's going to be best for the thing. And like, I hadn't really gotten a whole lot, from Roland per se, on feedback on inks or anything like that. Is I send them to him and I'm like, I hope these are good, and he's like, these look great, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Well, and you're right. I think for me that's I think you can be overbearing at times, and I think that all creators kind of have to feel their own way. For me, I think my only thing is if there's a problem, right? If there's like, John, I think you got way too, you're too heavy here. Your inks are too heavy. I would tell you that. But and then that would be something that you could address moving forward, But I think, there's no reason to go, for me anyway, I mean, there's no reason to go through every single page and nitpick when, when you know what you're doing, and I guarantee you guys, when you do something, if you go back and look at it, you yourselves are going to say, man, I shouldn't have done this here, or I wish I had done this here, right? I mean, you see these kind of
Yeah.
things, yeah. And so, you know, I mean, I know that, I get that, and that's probably really more powerful than anything I could say. And so for me, it's like, okay, well, I don't, you know, I'll tell you, okay, this is the kind of thing I'm looking for, right? I want, you know, I want this kind of thing. You know, like, you know, for instance, John, you know, in talking to you in Memphis, you know, we had the discussion about, you know, pens and brushes and, I mean, just kind of look around, at what's in Silverline. John uses a brush, Barb uses a brush, Tommy uses a brush. This is kind of the look that I like, right? So, you guys know how to handle the brush, even if it's new to you. You know, or even if it's digital, right? You have still a digital brush. So, yeah, it's just kind of like do your thing, and if I see problems, it's kind of like, all right, well, this is problematic. Let's work on this. Let's kind of fix this and move forward. But you know, the cool thing is, you know, John, you've got great resources there where you are, and you've had great resources in our friends Dean and Mitch Faust, Dean Zachary. For those of you who don't know when I call out Dean Zachary, Mitch Faust. Jim Hall, you know, those guys have been great resources for you, and they're a wealth of information, and I know that you have utilized that in the past, you know.
Yeah.
So, because I know you showed a lot of your work early on to them and got feedback from them. So
Yeah, the all the artists I got feedback on early on was like my first little critique was Dean, Mitch, Jim, and Martheus.
Martheus Wade, yeah,
Yeah.
yep, I forgot about him. Sorry. Who does a book called Jade?
Jeddah,
Jeddah.
Tales of Tashagawa, and Shinobi Warrior Princess.
Yeah. So,
I think that's a good thing about having multiple people on a project too, is being able to, you know, if one person misses something, then the other person can catch it. You know, hey,
Yep.
you know, you need to look at this. You know, and at the job I work at, and you know, with graphic art, we have even a whole department that's a proofing department. And pretty much they're editors, and they go through and look at stuff and make sure that it's what the instructions say. And if there's anything misspelled, and you know, it has to go through a lot of hands before it actually gets out.
yeah.
You know,
Mhm.
so I think it's a great thing to have multiple people looking in on stuff.
Oh,
You know, because everybody
absolutely.
makes mistakes, and yeah, I appreciate it anytime somebody says, "Hey, you might want to, you know, kind of dial this back a little
Right.
bit or push forward on that." I love that. I love feedback because you know it just helps me.
Yeah, it helps you grow and get and be better as an artist. Yeah, you know what? It really chaps my drawers when a Silverline book goes out with a mistake in it a textual mistake, because we have so many eyeballs on it, you know. And if it goes out with a typo or a misspelled word, I'm just like going, you know, very frustrating, because it's like, you know, how many people looked at that and nobody caught it? There was
Is that why
Looking
you
at my
send?
stuff forever. I'm sure there's typos all over, but I still find them years later, and I have my
Yeah.
friends read them and stuff. It's almost like kind of impossible a little
Oh, yeah.
bit.
Yeah.
So and it's funny. You guys get critiques. Roland just keeps telling me I suck. He asked me why I suck, and I haven't been able to come up with an answer yet.
Still working
I
on
But
find
he keeps,
that-
you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
it's
find
just
that
a
hard to
general suck.
believe. Working on another book.
Yeah. Aaron gets these random emails from me. You suck.
You
Why do you
suck.
suck?
Why
I don't know.
All right,
why
so
do you keep
I've-
showing up on Sundays?
I know. Why do you keep doing this?
This is All right, I'm gonna stand up for my penciler here a little bit on Friar Rush, and next time you send me letters on a Friar Rush book, and I find a couple of typos,
Ouch!
I'm gonna send it to him, and have him tell you you suck right behind it. No.
He's gonna blame me for everything. God damn. Yeah.
Yeah. But you know, I mean, that's one of the things that you know, as an editor, that was always one of the things that I strove for. You know, I always wanted to make sure that you know, anything that came through, you know, my doors, my office. I don't really have an office now, but you know, was about near perfect. You know, that was what I always wanted to be. I didn't want to get the letter saying, "Hey, you misspelled, you know, what here." Like, how can you misspell what? You got the H and the A transpose. You know, dadgummit. How did none of us see that? So there's a mistake in Trump's that in the second part of Trump's that nobody caught.
I haven't read it yet.
And yes, there was a mistake. And here's the deal. So the person that caught it and sent the email to me is a friend of a friend. And when he heard that we were doing this, he heard that we were going to make a deck of cards about them. He says, "Oh, I got to get in on it." So he backed our Kickstarter. I'm telling you, he didn't no more receive the thing than 2 days later he sent me an email and said, "Hey, I read this. There's a mistake." I'm like, okay,
Wow.
what is it? And doggone it, sure enough, he pointed out there's a mistake in it. I have since fixed that mistake, but all of the folks who got the first issues for the Kickstarter edition and then the first run of Trump's had there's a mistake in it. I tried to get him to write me a letter. I said, "Why don't you write me a letter? Write me a fan letter, and we can put it in the comics in the letters page." "Oh, I'm not gonna write a letter. I just wanted to let you know." And I'm like,
Email's a freaking letter.
yeah, well, you know, it was just like, "Hey, Roland, I read Trump's. Here's a mistake." I'm not gonna put that on the letter.
Send it to me snail mail so I can put it in there so I can feel like I'm back in the 90s.
No, I didn't mean he has to lick a stamp. But you know, for a letters column. Wubba said when he talked about art direction from editorial, he said he was talking about the over-coloring saturation in comics. Yeah, you know, here's the thing. I think here's my suspicions about that, Wubba. And I don't know this for any sort of fact, but when I look at current Marvel and DC today, my suspicions are when you say there's editorial directions from editorial, I think that there's probably not a lot because they don't know what they're doing. So many. There's so many names, and then there's some there, obviously, who have been in it for a while. But I think there's so many of them in there that just have no clue, about comics, and so they get something, and then they just go, "Oh, this is far more complicated than anything I know how to do. I can't even communicate with you right now." Now I can't speak all the language of the coloring with Roberta, but she's what's that?
You can say enough, though.
Right.
You can make an observation, and I could go, "Oh, okay, I see it."
Yeah, and of course we do have we have that work history from Malibu, so we have some common language that we can certainly communicate that. But I think there's so many of them there who just
the colors are two freaks.
Yeah.
I think everybody
just go there.
I think every artist needs to have somebody who's not an artist look at something.
Yeah.
And look at it from the non-artist perspective.
Yep.
Right. Yeah.
That's my better half, not an artist. I show her stuff all the time. And at first she was like, I don't know why you showed me this. I don't draw or anything like that. I said, no, but does it look funny to you? Does it look off?
So
And I don't get asked questions anymore. She just goes, I don't know. I think that looks a little funny there.
yep. So
There you go.
I do the exact same thing. This is I know you can't see.
I think
this
we
one.
lost Aaron.
Yeah,
What's
you
that?
lost my page.
What? I see it.
You lost my page for a minute. You got it?
Oh yeah, I see it.
Okay.
No, we lost Aaron.
Aaron's still here.
Oh, we lost Aaron.
Yeah, I'm right here.
I see him.
Oh, I lost Aaron. Aaron's
Yeah,
just a
I
gray
think I'm
square
still here.
now.
Am I not?
Aaron, you're not real.
No,
You
you're
on
here.
the-
Sorry.
You're here, but you I guess you blocked me.
That's probably it.
So,
Do you blame me?
So this is.
I mean,
I just took up for you, man.
So this is actually the book that Roberta is coloring, right? And so I printed it out recently, and
Nice.
because it's all lettered, and I don't know if you can see that, but you can see those red markings on there.
Oh, look at that balloon going.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
those are the notes that BJ
Mhm.
made for me. She reads through and she turns down the pages. I don't. She turns down the pages when she's got notes. I can't see myself now.
She
you can
dog
see-
ears them.
Yeah, she dog ears them. Yeah, so that I can find them easily. But she goes through there with a red pen and she marks everything, even if it's just minor. I'll go through it and tell her, well, I know that I'm going to do this with it. She marks everything because she says, I don't know. I know that some of this you know and you're going to fix, but I'm going to mark it because I see it in case you don't know it's there. So yeah, she's
She
my
teachers and teachers. She
That's
teachers
cool.
and teachers.
That's what she does, yeah. But I also, when I got this finished, I sent it to, I sent the full PDF to Roberta, I sent it to Pete, and I sent it to Tommy, and I said, here it is lettered, it's still in the rough stages, but you guys proof it. So yeah, we go through.
I was wondering if I was supposed to do that when you sent Fire Rush to me. It's like, hey, it's lettered. Take a look at it. I'm like, okay.
Yes, you should.
But you know what is really awesome is that sometimes it's in there really wondering about the backgrounds, and when I know it's like completely covered in balloons, it helps so much. I'm like, oh, that's great.
You know, it's funny, because Tommy was working on at the convention. He was working on doing some inks. It's funny because he was doing traditional inks and digital inks. He was kind of jumping back and forth from a page he was working on, a traditional page he was working on, and then digital. And the digital he was working on was from Silverline Team Up, and I told him, I said, hey, that book's lettered. Why don't you look and see where the balloons are and then just scritchy scratch behind it? And he laughed. He said, I'm not going to do that.
No, you can't do that because it's a different piece
Yes.
without the
Yeah.
letters.
Yeah.
Right.
And you know, that's one of the, if we're going to talk about pros and cons of digital versus traditional, that is one of the cons, is that, you know, so like when we were at Malibu, the pages that Roberta got to color were fully lettered pages. So there were big balloons that she didn't have to worry about coloring because they covered up the artwork, right?
Well,
Now,
I had to trace all the balloons too, so that's its own thing.
yeah.
Yeah.
And now you have to, you know, we have to ink the full page, we have to color the full page. So it's a little bit different.
But that's kind of a good idea anyway, because if you needed to make a change in Malibu, it's not like you didn't have a layer over the art. You know,
Yeah,
they were separate because different people worked on them.
right. Yeah.
So, you know, you could make a seriously large change to the text, and if it really had to be that you had to change, you know, you could change the artwork, and at least if you have layers, you can do that.
Right. Yeah.
And so if you have a unanimous background, it's pretty easy to have that layer of balloons just gone.
Uh-huh. You know, the other thing I like about it, and we haven't gotten to that point yet, I do hope that someday it's a possibility for us, is that when you have it all like this, you can translate it and you can totally re-letter it without having to mess anything up.
Yeah, that's kind of my point. It's like if you have a really nice background and it's all done, then you don't have missing stuff to fill in.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you want to put it in different languages, even.
Another point.
That'd be pretty easy to do.
Yep.
We can send it over to our Spanish division.
Yeah.
Let them change all the lettering.
So, true story. I actually had a student who was from, I forget where she's from, and I hate that. Really, really, really smart student. But she spoke English and Spanish both fluently, and she liked Tiny. And so she literally took Tiny, I gave her the script, and she translated the entire thing. Well, because it's in Spanish, right, my fonts can't handle all of the letters, because they have special lettering. And so I went out on the internet searching for Spanish fonts, and with the intention of I'm going to go and I'm going to re-letter this in Spanish. But I just never got around to doing it. Maybe one day.
I think it needs to happen.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I've already got the translation, so it just.
And you know what? If you do print it bigger. Do one of those bigger magazine size.
Oh yeah, because it's a Spanish edition, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep.
Wubba says I do that and I write it down and learn from it. So he's talking about the when we were talking about
corrections, editorial corrections.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So.
You guys ever have mistakes that you find and don't fix?
Yeah. I think sometimes you have to evaluate
whether or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a page that, because my characters have different sets of fingers. Some have 3, some have 4. And I try to keep track of them. And I noticed one cover I gave a guy like 4 fingers, and when he usually has 3. And I'm like, I could fix that, but that'd be a lot of trouble for very little payoff. Right. So if somebody finds it,
yes,
congratulations, you got a no prize. Yeah.
The old no prize.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna need to get some.
All right. And
aliens, huh?
He actually left his camera on. We can actually see him walk right out the door. There he goes.
That's funny.
I hope that's not a bathroom he's going into back there.
I think you heard us.
Going to get a book. Somebody wanted to know the author of a book, so I'm like, oh, she's asking me. So.
Yeah.
Going to get that real quick.
Yeah.
No, I was actually dressed this time too. So how exciting is that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thankfully.
I know.
Since you got
it's funny. Was watching all those videos during the quarantine where everybody kept getting up, and they were like in their boxers or whatever. Yeah. There was a lot of people like, whoops.
Yeah. I would never do that.
They got it.
They can't even understand it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Well, yeah, I don't walk around. I wear short pants. I mean, which is what I have on now, shorts.
But it was kind of weird. I mean, I know some people like not used to it, but I'm also just like, I don't know. You would feel, I don't know. But there was like newscasters they would have where they would get up and they're in the boxers, and I'm like, okay, I don't know.
But here's my question: you think they did that on purpose?
That's always the thing you wonder. Is like, okay, is this just this like little?
Do you really forget you're in your underwear?
Yeah, that's always my. Yeah, that's my biggest
Especially
thing.
if you got a fan on, you know. You know.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I don't even go
I'm
down
not
the
going to say a
road.
thing in this
Yeah.
aspect. I'm just going to sit here and ink this page because y'all don't want to know nothing. No, I'm kidding.
So I don't even go down the road to a drive-through without being, some people, they get up in their vehicle in their pajamas or whatever.
Mm-mm.
I don't
Yeah.
ever do that
Mm-mm.
because you don't ever know when somebody's going to rear end you or something and you're going to be standing outside the road
In your
talking to
PJs.
police and everybody coming by and here you are in your boxers or whatever.
And your bunny
Right
slippers.
there.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know if y'all know this, but a few years ago, on college campuses, it was a fad that mostly girls, but students were going to class in their pajama bottoms. So they
Yes,
wear
sir.
like a t-shirt or something like that, and then they would wear pajama bottoms. Many of them would wear slippers. They're house slippers, and they go to class that way. You're like,
Yep.
there's something wrong with that.
It's yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's like I think the thing that most people feel if you see somebody in pajamas and slippers is like, did you actually clean yourself a shower, or do I get to sit and smell you the whole class?
Oh,
That would be my first question.
yeah.
Did you just roll out of bed and
Good
come
point.
here? Or did you clean yourself then put this back on? And if you did clean yourself, then why would you put that stuff back on? Why wouldn't you just get dressed? So it's always just like, that's the conundrum you're sitting there wondering.
Yeah. I think
No, we know what Aaron thinks of people at Walmart.
Yes.
Stephen Brown says, I work at a grocery store and I see people in their pajamas.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They
Yeah.
do the late night shopping in their pajamas and stuff. Yeah.
It's like that
They
everywhere,
wait,
though.
they wait till late night there.
And we have a 24-hour
And
Walmart.
no, it could be noon out here, 2 o'clock in the afternoon,
Yeah.
and they're in their pajamas out there at freaking Walmart.
See,
I
that
remember
usually was a
years-
late night thing I noticed, but
I remember years ago when people were going out to even Walmart or anywhere, they would dress up. And I'm talking like early 90s and before. Like if they were going anywhere, they'd dress up.
Like,
And now,
like nice?
I've taken, yeah. And I've taken like my wife out to places where, was supposed to be kind of fancy restaurants and get all dressed up. And then you get in there and there's like guys in there in camo, that just got out of the woods, and
still
it
got
just
mud
totally
caked on their
kills,
knees.
kills the entire immersion. We're on a romantic date and here's this bloke here with his camo on. I'm all for wearing camo, but don't be wearing it to the 4-star restaurant. I mean, come on.
Y'all out there at the Red Lobster, and you turn around and you smell deer urine.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
Tinks, deer. What is it? Tinks, deer. Man, that stuff smells so bad. That deer something. I can't remember what it was we used to use.
That looks so cool, those spotlights.
I like that.
Yeah.
Fun.
Deer scent.
Stephen Brown says, when working at the grocery store, he goes, it's in the morning time that he sees these people in their pajamas. So it goes
okay,
back,
I can see that.
It goes back to what you were saying. They just roll out of bed and don't bathe.
The milk.
And the Walmart. Deer musk, one of us says.
Yeah, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it.
Deer pheromones.
I just remember that brand, Tinks. And I remember when I first guy had it, and and I was like, "What is that, man?" He's like, he said, "Here, you want to smell it?" Oh my goodness, don't! That stuff is bad, like
Things that
really
make you-
bad.
Things that make you go, bleh.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's the universal rule, man. When somebody says you want to smell something, it's always no.
don't.
Oh,
don't.
It's always no. I mean,
No, if a guy, especially if a guy friend asks another
Yeah.
guy friend to smell it, that other
No.
guy friend has to smell
I
it.
don't know because I
It is an
purposefully, and
unwritten rule.
I probably shouldn't tell this because it's going to ruin it. But anytime I go to taste something I haven't tasted before,
You smell it.
I always act like it is the best thing I've ever tasted, no matter how terrible it is, just to get somebody else to taste it. Because if you say "ugh," if you do all that, they're not gonna. But it is so funny though. When man, this is awesome, and then you give it to them, and it's like hot. Really hot. It's so hilarious.
so mad
I
at
do it
you.
to my wife all the time.
Why did you do that?
Yeah.
I can say that I've done it before too. I've been like, "This is great."
Yeah. I can't imagine. Man, this is awesome.
It's like, and then somebody else goes, "Oh, okay," and then they're like, "Bleh." And I'm like, "Ha ha."
Stephen Brown
See,
says,
man.
like they decide to go deer hunting at the Red Lobster.
Right.
And then
Yep.
Wubba adds, get all those does in the yard.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, every time I hear "in the yard," I can't help but think of that.
I hate the-
song.
I hate to break it to the deer hunters out there, but you don't need that stuff to hunt deer if you know how to hunt.
Well,
Or if you know how to put out
Second part.
corn.
yeah.
I was taught how to track and stalk, so I know how to hunt.
Wubba said,
Well, go ahead.
Wubba says, I used to convince friends and family to eat big lumps of wasabi, telling them it was mint.
Oh my.
That's mean, and I love it.
That is
You know
mean.
what? If they're having sinus issues that evening, when you
It
have
does
them
work.
Yeah, a
do it,
little.
it opens them up.
Interesting.
That's true.
What were you saying, Quentin?
Oh, I forgot.
About the hunting,
That was
about
like
the hunting.
yeah, it's like 4 or 5 lines ago of
Yeah.
me drawing, so it left. I used to hunt a lot, and let me tell you, there's some people they go. I mean, that is like their thing. You know how people have their thing, and sometimes they really get really deep into it. So. I used to be a hunter, but I have not hunted in years and years.
Yeah, most of my family hunt. My grandfather was a quote unquote hunter. Now, what he did is he just always went to deer camp just to hang out and eat the food. He didn't even,
Yeah.
he didn't even go hunting with them. He had literally stayed. They would go hunting, and he would stay in the cabin and cook. And all he was interested in was eating the food.
Yeah, because you get a bunch of fellas around, or just hunters in general, and they got that's some of the best food you'll eat is going to a deer camp.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I've just never understood sitting up in a tree stand waiting on the animal to come to you.
Yeah.
Well, I've known plenty of people that
Spent
that's
hours.
their thing. They love to do it. They'll get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, go sit in a tree stand for till way past daylight.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I used to go out like months in advance and kind of track around, make some chalk marks on trees, where I see like trails where deer kind of walking and kind of marking patterns. And that's where I'd go back if it was a heavy deer traffic area. That's where I'd go back. And I'd check and see if the weight, how deep the tracks were, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
That's how I used to hunt. I was on foot.
That's pretty cool.
I had my aunt actually taught me how to hunt. He was Apache.
Well, that's cool. Yeah. Although she was hunting for white man.
No.
You know what? That's the thing for me. Deer hunting in a stand like that never really interested me that much. I'm kind of like John was talking about. That's kind of the way I prefer to do it. And I never hunted a lot, but I hunted when I was a kid, when I would go visit, particularly when I go to visit my grandparents, and we would rabbit hunt a lot. My grandfather had dogs, and so we'd just go out and he'd set the dogs loose, and we'd just start walking along, fence rows and gullies and stuff like that. And well, they'd find a rabbit and start barking and take off after them, and then that's when that's when we'd shoot. But you're moving, you're moving, and generally kind of talking low tones so as not to startle anything. But just sitting there in a stand is not something that ever really interested me.
Yeah, the only place you should sit trying to catch anything is fishing.
Stephen Brown said, back when I was in high school in Kentucky, I see people wearing camo clothes everywhere. It's like as if everyone was trying to blend in.
Because that was Kentucky. It was
Yeah.
Kentucky. Kentucky, Tennessee, Mississippi, Arkansas.
They're still fighting
Yep.
the Hatfields and McCoys.
That's what you're going to see.
Yeah, yep.
Yeah,
well-
when it's hunting season, that's everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
definitely.
Wubba says, deer aren't elusive. They willingly jump in front of cars here.
Yeah. We have that issue too over here. Oh my!
Yeah.
And thing is, over here, they're very, very strict about people hunting out of season,
Yeah.
or you can't even hit one and take it home. I mean, don't ever do it.
Yeah.
If you're over here, they drop the hammer heavy on people.
Do they tell you if you or has it gotten bad enough for them to tell you have to call them if you hit one on the highway?
I haven't hit one, and I haven't had to deal with it. But from what I've heard, they're pretty crazy about people doing anything that's with the deer, and
Mhm.
because of that, deer are everywhere here. I mean, they are everywhere, especially being such flat ground. I mean, it's like nighttime's like a planetarium here. It's so flat.
So when I lived in Oxford, Mississippi, before we moved here, the deer got to be so bad there, they extended the hunting season and even let people hunt in the city with bows.
Wow.
Weird.
Yes. Well, it's just because the deer population had gotten so out of control. I mean, there was just way too many, and they literally were just out of control. So they let them hunt in the city with bows. I don't think that lasted very long because I think people were like, "There's arrows whizzing by in my backyard,"
Just add a couple cougars and you're all good.
Yeah.
Yep.
We have
Out
bears.
here, we got a coyote problem right now.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because the pack has gotten over 100 deep.
Good grief.
Wow.
Like
Yeah, we
so
have-
bad that they're hunting the coyotes in a chopper.
Wow.
Yeah, we have a huge cougar
that's not good.
population. That's what we have. We actually have some cougars coming to Portland,
Really?
which for some odd reason always puts a weird smile on my face.
They were just
Imagine a
wanting a
bunch of
Starbucks. They were
a
just
bunch of
wanting
city
Starbucks.
dwellers running from them.
I think that's funny.
Aaron's like,
Good for them.
yeah, Aaron's like, I'd like to find a cam on one of those street corners where those cougars start chasing around those little artsy-fartsy folks in Portland.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
They were just looking for a cub.
Yeah. They were
What?
Looking, they were looking for a snack.
They were just
They
looking
are.
for a
They're
cub.
just-
Oh, different cougars? Oh, okay.
Oh, oh, yeah.
Had to go there.
Yeah, just to be clear, we are talking about the
The
animals.
four-legged
Who
guy,
was?
right?
Yes.
Stephen
I'm not
Brown-
even going down that rabbit hole.
Stephen Brown says, like, someone has to yell,
I'm just
duck.
a coloring.
I'm just a colorist. Someone has to yell, duck, before they shoot the arrow. Yeah, really.
Hmm.
We had a beagle when we were there. And if you know anything about beagles, you know
I had a beagle.
they're little short. They have little short legs. They can't run. But
Oh, they can run.
my
they can run.
stupid little dog, she would chase the deer. And we're like, stop chasing the deer. They're going to kick you. But
Yeah.
she would chase them all around our yard. And we're like, stop that. But boy, she was after them like crazy. And she would bark. We had to start chaining her up at night because she'd get to be where I lived out in the country, but it'd get to be where she was running all over the place, you know, and you could hear her,
Mhm.
"Arr, arr, arr," like, where is she? You know? Yeah.
Having a good time.
Your dog's still out there chasing deer.
But yeah, beagles will chase everything.
Yes, they will.
You think your beagle was like a legend among the deer? You know, like the mighty hunter. It's like almost like seeing Bigfoot or something. We saw him once. He came out of the underbrush. We had to jump quick before he got our ankles. I mean, you know,
They tell stories. Yeah, I bet you're right.
those stories of it.
Yeah. I'm not sure they told stories about my beagle.
Well, hey, you just did.
Well, that's true. I did, didn't I?
That's right.
Yeah. I wish
So
we had it on video.
I finally watched the New Mutants.
Wasn't it terrible?
It was okay. I don't know. I mean, I guess you had destroyed so much expectation for it that I went in with no expectations.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, it was coherent. I mean, it could technically follow it.
Yeah. Yeah. you
Yeah,
know,
I don't know.
I think you're right. I think that has a lot to do with that. I think your expectations do kind of
Yeah.
temper
Mhm.
your experience. If you're not expecting
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
I
a
mean,
lot
I
of
think
things.
if I was going in like you, I think if I would have paid for it like full price, I think it would have been like, eh. But it was cool. I mean, I liked, you know, they got like a lot of the characters right,
Yeah.
but they were trying to. I don't know what they wanted to do with this. Were they going to bring this into the universe proper, or what did they plan? It just seemed like some weird side story. They mentioned the X-Men once in the film.
Yeah, and well, and I think that's kind of part of the problem is that there was no real, to me, there was no real connection, to any part of the Marvel universe at large, you know.
Yeah.
What was
How's
how's that go again, Roland? I think he's wanting me
There
to
wasn't
bark.
really any.
Yeah, I think he's wanting me to bark again.
There wasn't really any connection between the X-Men movies.
No, not really.
Well,
So what do you?
X-Men to the greater Marvel universe at large, or to one another?
To one another.
Oh yeah, if you try, I actually watched all the X-Men movies just for fun because I bought them all, and you have to do some mental gymnastics a little bit to
Yeah.
make them all connect.
Yeah, that's the
Mhm.
only problem I ever had with the X-Men series was there's no continuity. And that just, I just had to start saying to myself, I'm just going to treat this like a standalone,
Yeah,
movie
Mhm.
because there's no continuity whatsoever with those. That's what I
Yeah.
could never get over about those.
Yeah. Phil
Yeah.
Knox
We're not
says,
even gonna.
hey, Rolling Crew. What's up, Phil?
Hello.
And we're not even gonna talk about Apocalypse.
So
yeah. Well,
favorite X-Men movie then?
mine. I'm trying to think. My friend Tom really likes the first one, and that's one of his favorites. I'm trying to think. I'd have to say that everybody likes the second one, and I like that. I for some odd reason I like the first one just because I think it was like maybe I have fond memories of seeing it for the first time.
Yeah.
I thought First Class was well done.
Yeah.
I thought if you take out the last one, the Dark Phoenix, the very last one they did for the end of it, that had some interesting ideas. If you take it out of the continuity, I thought that was probably closer to the Dark Phoenix because she actually killed herself, which is kind of important.
Yeah.
But
My
I
favorite-
think there was a scene on a train that I thought was pretty cool. It seemed like as they went through the movies, they got more into having them fight together or use their powers together, which I thought reminded me more of the books I read. Instead of just somebody fighting randomly, they seemed to kind of work together, and that kind of happened throughout the movies. Especially that scene. I was never a big fan of the Days of Future Past one was okay. I mean, it was, I don't know. That was such a fun story for me that I was like sending Wolverine back. I'm like, okay, I know everyone likes Wolverine, but it's just, I like Hugh Jackman too, but after a while it's like, go away. Let's have some other characters on there. But I did like the Future Fight, the Future Sentinels in that. I thought were really awesome. And the Future Fight, they really seemed to like work as a team.
Yeah.
So I thought that made that movie for me in that one. I'm just not a big fan of the 70s. I know maybe that's bad, but I don't know. There's something about the 70s. I just kept. I don't know. I mean, okay.
He just admitted that he doesn't like John Byrne.
I like John. I like John Byrne stories. I think John Byrne sometimes can get very. I talk about a man like I understand making like different storylines, but he is the only guy I know that eventually has so many storylines going. He just starts writing separate stories in the same comic.
Yeah.
Like
The
I
artist,
read
not the
Next Man.
writer.
Yeah,
Who's the
Next Man.
artist?
He eventually added an M5 story to do it. And I read Wonder Woman, and eventually there's like separate stories going all over the place, which, I mean, it was good, but I was like,
He forgets.
how are you
going
going
to
to connect these together? Or, yeah.
Yeah.
He does that a lot, which, I mean, sometimes he pulls them together and sometimes he doesn't. I give him props for attempting to do so much.
Yeah.
But sometimes it doesn't always work for him. But I mean, I'm a sucker. I always read John Byrne stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I know he's not the most favorite person in comics as far as personality, but I like his stuff.
You know, I approached him. Well, when I was at Malibu, I approached him and he was nice.
Yeah.
I had been talking to Roger Stern. I wanted Roger Stern to write something, and because Roger was one of my favorite writers from Marvel, and so I'd been talking to him a couple of different times, and finally Roger said, "Here's the deal: if you can get John Byrne to draw it, I'll write this for you." And so I said, "Okay, I'll ask him." You know, I mean, what's the worst you can do is say no. And so probably at a San Diego Comic Con, I found John Byrne. And I approached him, I introduced myself, and as soon as I said my name, he started smiling, and he said, "Roger told me you were coming." And I'm like, okay. And before I had a chance to even finish the question, he says, "I appreciate you asking." He goes, "But no," he goes, "I'm too busy with my own stuff." And he was doing Next Men at the time. He's like, I'm too busy doing this to take on something else. He said, but thank you for asking. And so he was incredibly nice to me.
I think he's just, again, he's just a human being. I
Right.
mean, it matters on what days you catch him. And of course, all these creators, if a creator has a bad day, does something bad, you're going to hear that story 1,000 times beyond the story where, like, he
Yeah.
was just a nice guy.
Right,
So, I mean, you screw up once, it's like it scars you forever.
right.
You know, so, I mean, I'm sure if you see a lot of these people in public, they're not going to destroy you. Yeah, I like John Byrne. I mean, he's definitely an amazing artist. So, you know, there's that. He's fast too. I've always
Yeah.
kind of looked at his stuff. So I think that was like a huge bonus for him.
My clock
But
has
he actually
10:20.
did you ever finish the Next Men? I'm sorry, his Next Men series. He actually did finish that like almost
I think he did.
12
yeah.
years later. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
I think
weird.
he-
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
but yeah,
no,
he
it's
did finish
okay.
it. It was weird.
Yeah. Quentin, I got 10:20. You wanna share yours? Let
Yeah,
Roberta,
go for
it.
let Roberta crack her
Mhm.
fingers a little bit.
Yeah,
I
thank
always
you.
get so fascinated just watching you, and I can hear your clicks sometimes. Not always.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, not always. But
Sometimes.
sometimes I can hear the clicks, and I'm like, man, that's fast moving.
You know what? It's finally I've figured out what to turn off and change so that I can stream at least with a little bit more
Well,
speed.
So here's
It
what's
used to
cool.
hang me up.
Watch.
It used to hang me up so much that like I would do like 3 things and one of them wouldn't take, and I'd be like undoing. So I'd have to slow down and slow down and slow down, and so like it probably looks like I'm going fast because I'm going normal speed for the first time.
So here's what's kind of cool. I don't know if you can see on your stream now, but so what I'm able to do now is Quentin is here
Ooh,
on
I
the
like
big
it.
screen. Yeah, and you can see we can still see yours on the small window up there.
Well, do you want me to take mine down?
I mean, if you're okay to keep it up there, I kind of like seeing it there.
Okay, well, I'll color for a little bit longer, and then
Sure. Whenever
then
you,
I'll need a break.
Yep. Whenever you need to quit, just
Okay.
click on the old stop button. Quentin, tell folks what you're working on here. What are we seeing?
Give him just a second.
Oh, okay. Yeah, looks like he's leaning over there. He's probably getting his sweet slobber sugars from his wife saying, "It's late. I'm going to bed. You gonna keep streaming?" So he's slobber kissing, and I'm not sure he can hear me, so I'm just talking. Let me see if we got any other. Phil says, "Roland, been away for a few. Got back to your DM. Sorry for the delay. No worries, sir. I haven't actually checked any emails or messages for the day. Was at the convention and literally walked in the door and unloaded the truck and came right to the computer. So I'll check that, sir." Wubba says they'll never do Dark Phoenix right because it's a long arc and they try cramming everything together to fit in one movie.
It is. I mean, the whole arc of that
Good
story
point.
is like 10, 12 issues. I mean, because it starts back like at the Hellfire, but I mean, he was planting seeds of that. I mean, that's the, Days of Future Past was too. But again, I don't know. I mean, I think it worked. I don't know. I just like the original story. And I liked when Shadowcat went back. So I like the idea of like Shadowcat being this sort of weaker character, weaker in that she wasn't as powerful power-wise, and so it was kind of like a lot stacked against her. When you send back Mr. Wolverine, who's invincible, it's like, okay.
Right.
So that was the one thing it kind of like, and I know Hugh Jackman's the star, but it was kind of cool to see because when they did Shadowcat, sent her back in the book, I think she was like a teenager, and she was supposed to stop this assassination and stuff. So I thought, oh, that's kind of a cool idea, So send the least powerful one, and it was like a Hail Mary sort of thing.
Right.
I thought she could phase through, like her power had got to the point to where she could phase through time.
Right.
And that's the reason why she came back.
Yeah. Which I thought was a really cool concept. So, I don't know. There was a lot of, I mean, if they do, I talked to my friends, they do the X-Men in the Marvel Universe, I hope they kind of focus on other characters. Storm was a huge character in the comic. Just other characters that were like really important in the context of the comic as well. Instead of, I mean, Wolverine is visually cool. I mean, I understand that, but it was always just. I mean, he was like even in the comics, he was important. But when I read Claremont's, because that was the run I read, he wasn't as super as important as everyone. I mean, there was still a Storm. I think was probably more prominent in the book, or just as much.
I hope that they kind of started right. Like we get the original 5.
That would be interesting. I would be really curious to see how because they eventually did introduce all the original 5 in the show, but they just never introduced them as a team together.
Right.
The original 5.
Like it would be really nice to see Angel.
Yeah.
And all of them.
Well, what's going to be different is it's going to like Marvel did all the individual movies and then made the Avengers, right? So we got the backstory. Are they going to do that with the X-Men? Because the X-Men really started as a team book, and the individual stuff was revealed in the process of the team book. So if they follow the comic, it's going to be a different take for Marvel to do that.
Yeah.
Because is there even enough to hold like an Iceman or Beast movie? I mean, you could do flashbacks.
When you kind of go through some of the character development for X-Men, it's that starting 5 is really important, and then it builds to everything else.
Yeah.
Especially like Cyclops and his whole development throughout the years
Right.
to where when he becomes right there at the death of X.
Yeah. And stuff, and you can do so. It's. I'd be curious to see how they do it because it started out as a team book, and I mean, there was not many individual things. I mean, and now since I'm curious to see if they will kill Miss Marvel with Rogue, because that was where she originally got her powers. She's absorbed Miss Marvel and became like Superman, and Miss Marvel's in the Marvel universe. So I'm like, would they do that storyline? That'd be kind of interesting if they did that, because that's what kind of made Rogue so unique.
Oh, I'm hoping that in the next that they do another Hulk movie and they introduce Wolverine and the Hulk.
Oh yeah.
Cool.
That would be
That would
cool
be
because that was his
awesome.
original introduction. Yeah. So
That would be
Oh,
awesome.
no.
And then you could do Wolverine in his own little solo thing before you have him join the. And then kind of have Storm show up in Wakanda.
'cause she was actually married to Black Panther for a while in the comics. I don't know if they still are.
Right.
Yeah,
But
where-
have you have her in Africa where she's supposed to be
Yeah.
early on in the series? Well, in the her whole history before she joins the X-Men, and then have them actually go and rescue the original 5.
Yeah. It's going to be the one thing that was, and it was even in the Marvel universe. I always found this. I thought the X-Men almost worked better in their own universe a little because they were all feared and hated because they had powers, and yet Captain America, Iron Man, and all these other superheroes were not hated, and they never they kind of like turned a blind eye, like, well, why are these other people just as hated? And it's like because they're trained or whatever. So it's almost like they may have to explain like why all of a sudden people don't fear the Avengers, but they fear these people now.
Yeah.
That's the one, and I always thought the X-Men kind of were, and Claremont kind of did that a lot. He kind of kept them in their own little universe a lot, which I think really worked to that advantage. But it was always kind of weird when they never could figure that out. Like, okay, so one is liked and one is not.
Right.
So I'd be curious to see. I mean, also I can see them totally introducing mutants as just like a side effect. Like maybe something happened and now people born with powers. I mean, you could totally just start doing that. I don't think you have to
Right.
I don't think you have to retcon and say they've always been here. You could just say they've been coming in as a new phenomenon.
Yeah. Exactly.
I think they're going to go with what they did with the last Avengers movie, where they brought in the whole possibility of alternate timelines and universe. I think that's how they're going to do it. That's just me. I could be totally wrong, but that was one way that and I think the Strange movie, along with Wanda, that's all going to bring a lot of that extra universe stuff into play with all this.
Quicksilver's going to be back after that movie. I guarantee it.
Yeah. I think
I'll
so,
take that to the bank.
So, Quentin, you had stepped away when I asked you, but tell folks what what we're seeing on the screen, what you're working on here.
Very sorry.
That's all right.
Okay, so we've got the King of Spades, and he is a little upset, and I don't know how much I should give away, but
you don't have to give away.
anyway,
just as
you
long as they know
can tell.
Yeah.
You can tell he's pretty upset with his people, and they're all looking around confused. And then comes in the Queen of Spades. So looking forward to getting to do her. She really nice. She's real nice. But yeah, so a lot of mad panels. I'm angry. I'm kind of surprised here, but then I'm more angry over here, and even more angry here, and then I'm kind of confused and angry, and then I'm super angry and I'm simmering or steaming.
It's got good teeth.
A lot of yeah.
The
Very
Spades have
good
a
teeth.
dental program.
Mm-hmm.
Wubba says, talking about the X-Men stuff, thank you, Quentin, for letting folks know what you're drawing on there. Wubba said his understanding is that they see the X-Men and mutants in the Externals movie coming out soon.
Oh yeah.
Did y'all see that? Have all of you watched the trailer of the Eternals?
I haven't.
I thought it actually looked kind of cool, but it did not look like the Marvel movie. It looked a lot more serious than a Marvel movie. So
yeah, my problem watching it, I'm kind of like, this just doesn't excite me like the other properties have.
Marvel's always had a hard time trying to sell the Eternals or like the Inhumans a lot. They've tried so many times to do an Inhumans comic, and for some odd reason, it just never seems to catch.
Yeah,
and I can't quite.
My question is, I think they've got other teams that they could do that I think would be far more viable than the Eternals. What do you guys think? You think that they've got other properties that would do better than the Eternals?
I think they were just looking for something cosmic because we opened up the cosmic door.
Yeah, but I'm like, why not just do like Adam Warlock or something, which I think they're going to.
They teased Adam Warlock in one of the Guardians of the Galaxy post-credit scenes.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if y'all remember.
Yeah, they teased him that he's coming into it.
They already missed their chance for the perfect introduction of Adam Warlock, though.
Yeah,
Adam Warlock was a huge factor in the fight against Thanos.
The Infinity Gauntlet.
Yeah. They kind of
They screwed that pooch.
Yeah. Did you anybody else did it ever do you kind of wish they used the original history of Thanos instead of changing his motivation? I always just liked him as this crazy god. I just thought I know Disney couldn't do that, but I always thought it was such a. I remember reading that. I'm like, well, this guy's just nuts. He's just, and I thought it was just kind of the interesting take on him. I didn't like sympathetic.
I mean, I liked it the way I didn't mind how they did it really too much. I don't really get into a lot of this, stuff that is. Like his whole thing in the movies was he was trying to free up resources for everybody by getting rid of 50% of everybody.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's kind of, I wouldn't mind it if it was something different, but I don't mind that they did something different than him trying to please Lady Death.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they couldn't do that, but it was his whole idea was the mad. And it was, I don't know. I'm one of these people, do you like it when they make villains of that magnitude, like we're talking cosmic gods, sympathetic in some way? Or do you like them more they're just so kind of they're doing something, I don't know. When they kind of made him sympathetic, like he's actually crying, I'm like, Thanos doesn't cry.
Right.
I'm like, that was, I don't know, maybe that was just, but that's kind of sometimes where the Disney stuff sometimes kind of drops the ball sometimes is the villains. They can't.
I'm torn. Because sometimes I like there to be a little more depth to an evil villain more than just, he's just evil. And because he's evil, he doesn't love anybody or anything except for himself, because that's not true about people. There's a lot of evil people in this world that they love plenty of things. They love their family. They love their wife, their mother, their father. But they just, sometimes it's a matter of they get on the wrong cause.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's...
They like them grilled. They like them barbecued. They like them...
Right.
Yeah.
So, and people in general, are so multifaceted. I mean, even I've been in prisons before. I haven't been in prison, but I've been to prisons before and talked to people quite a bit, and they are people, and a lot of times they have stories behind them, but really these are people, and they did something wrong and then they got put in prison for it, and they're, if you talk to them, you wouldn't consider them to be evil just for the sake of being evil. There's always a reason. There's always something that got them to that point, or it's always like you know what I'm saying? They're multifaceted. They're not just evil because, I will kill such and such.
Yeah.
It's,
I like that too. With
Yeah.
my cosmic characters, though, on that magnitude, I sometimes almost like to go the Lovecraft route, where we're so small, insignificant. It's like we get caught in the crossfire.
Yeah.
Kind of like the idea of a human taking the time out to pay attention to an anthill.
Right.
Yeah.
I think
Don't
that-
even realize the ant's
that-
there because it's not in our magnitude or sphere. And that's sometimes why I like the kind of like the when they do cosmic characters, like, no, he's just doing his things, and if we get caught in the crossfire, okay. There's just no relevance because he's not in the same sphere. And sometimes if he's working in that cosmic of a scale, it just seems like when you have him sympathetic, he's like, it's just magnitude of like what you're actually dealing.
Yeah,
with.
like Galacticus. Or Galactus.
Yeah, I
Exactly.
have a feeling when we finally get
Galactus.
around to like Galactus or the Living Tribunal, we're gonna have that because we are
Yeah.
like insignificant as all get out for those characters.
I've heard that they weren't. My favorite was always Kang the Conqueror, and I heard they weren't going to do Kang. Now I hear rumors that they are want to do Kang.
Now, I thought he was
again,
supposed to be in one of these coming up. I thought he was.
I
supposed
thought
to
so.
be.
I heard rumors that they just did not want to do him, and he is such a simplistic character that he's the one that I don't want them to make sympathetic because just the idea that he conquers just for sheer sport of it is such a cool concept, and that it's a game to him. When he loses or whatever, it's a game. It's a sort of game with the Avengers. Can they do it? So I'm hoping they don't change that.
Well-
don't at least him, because he's not evil. He's just a game, and that to me is like, okay, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
By the way, did anybody see how much muscle and how Chris Hemsworth looked in the photos from Thor: Love and Thunder?
No.
I haven't seen any photos of that.
I
Yeah.
haven't either.
Yeah, they're giving
Chris
him a
has
lot of
got
muscle.
jacked.
Yeah,
He
they're
is
giving him a
not-
lot of muscles before they take the hammer away from him.
And no, and he looks like he's dressed like Thunderstrike.
That would be interesting.
He's got a jacket on that looks similar to Thunderstrike.
That would
I've
be
really
interesting.
barely seen anything having to do with
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, I haven't either. What said
And
that
now you gotta go dig.
he said it's his understanding that they seed the the Eternals are there to seed the Inhumans and the mutants. So he thinks it's more to help them expand the universe. And then he says, I love the original Starlin Thanos. He was interesting. And I do too. When I think of Thanos, that's what I go back to the original Jim Starlin Thanos.
Which is such a weird and cool concept for a motivation that he just wanted to impress this woman.
Yeah.
It was so simple and so just nuts at the time that's why I
That's-
liked
Well,
it so
the thing
much.
about
Oh, that's not nuts, because there's been wars in history fought like that.
I mean, well.
Oh yeah, it's basically he took the idea of the Trojan War and just put it in space, almost in a way.
Yeah.
Or
well,
Julius Caesar was trying to impress Cleopatra.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you think about it, people that were nutty in love would do stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
We've all of us here on the stream have lived long enough that we've seen people do stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Well, my thing was when I read it a long time ago, I didn't understand it. Like when I was little.
Yeah,
But when I got older, I understood it a little more.
right.
So,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah, when you're little, you're just like, hey, it's a cool villain who,
yeah.
you know.
Well, I want this chick to talk to him. You know?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And why does he really want her to talk to him? You know?
Yeah. What's so special about her?
Yeah.
Stephen Brown said, in the MCU, Thanos felt like he would be the hero when he destroyed half the world. Yeah, what is the old saying? The villain is the hero of his own story. So.
It's true.
And the genre, the comics that are classic for villains with multi-dimensional motivation has got to be manga. I don't think there's any villain in manga that doesn't have and of course the number one motivation I see in so many mangas, I'm going to destroy everything to stop war. And it never made any sense to me. But I've seen that so many times. Like I must ignite a nuclear blast and blow up the world, and then this will stop war. I'm like, well, yeah, sure, there's no one to fight.
Because everyone will be dead.
Everyone will be dead. I'm still like waiting for somebody to do a crazy thing. Like I'm going to, take away everyone's arms so they can't fight. So they just have to it's something weird. I mean, but it was the Japanese, and I mean I could completely understand from the Japanese point of view. I mean, you see nuclear Armageddon a lot, obviously from historical context, so that has really tainted a lot.
And anyone who knows me knows that I have I wish Curtis were on here now, right? But anyone knows me knows I have great respect for Japanese culture. But but those nuclear bombs mess those people up. It messed them up as a culture, as a people. And if you look, like you said, if you look at their art has reflected that so many years, where we're seeing all these nuclear some of the most powerful stories deal with things like that. Heck, just the first anime I ever saw was Akira.
It started off with boom, the city being wiped out. That's the first scene. Yeah. It has really painted them.
Yeah.
And it's really it's made some of their stories interesting on the reflections on war and stuff, because I mean, how else can you really say that if you keep continuing down the path of aggression and war that you don't? Ultimate mutual destruction is going to be it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is, that for centuries, the Japanese was such a warlike culture.
Yeah.
And literally with 2 bombs, it's kind of like, stop fighting and stop fighting now. And it was kind of like, holy crap, you just destroyed 2 cities.
And it was like, even when they did that, I heard that there were 6 generals. The generals were split on whether or not to keep fighting or not.
Yeah.
I mean, even after they destroyed the city, it's like, no, we can win this. I mean, it was.
They dropped the first one, and they still didn't. They still wouldn't.
No, they wouldn't surrender.
They were going to fight to the last man. They even had their kids ready.
Yeah.
With weapons, anything they could find for and let me tell you, I got to say this. If people were going to invade the United States, wouldn't we take that same kind of initiative?
I think so.
Knowing that there's fixing to be people. I mean, we have such national pride, and they did. And we a lot of people talk about how it was, it was almost crazy how they did. But, I believe that there's a lot of people here in America, they'd be the same way. Mm-hmm. No, we're not giving up. We're not backing down. That's our mantra.
Yeah.
We never give up. We never back down. We'll fight to the last man. And
Captain
my grandpa
America said it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I can do this all day long.
Exactly. And that's what they were doing. That is patriotism in action.
Yeah.
And then of course you got a bunch of your people who will not do that. They'll be, just the, sure, come on in. They don't mind. They don't care anyway. They're just
the French.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, they'll be trying to find their angles, But I'm just saying, anyway, that they were doing what anybody would have done, and that's why they did those bombs. But yes, man, just it's amazing to see how much it has affected their art and in every way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And it's weird. I listened. I read a book by a guy named Dave Barry, I think his name was. He's a comedic writer. Yeah, Dave Barry. He did one about going to Japan. He said he went to either it was the anniversary of one of the bombings or something, but went to the site, and he said a lot of the people there were treating it more like an amusement park, like taking pictures with the walls that are shadowed and stuff, and maybe not. He said he didn't get a sense that they either would not getting the relevance, like what happened or wasn't impacting them. And I think this could have been the younger generation not seeing it, But he said they didn't treat it as sort of like a war memorial. It was more just like, oh, like this crazy bomb went off here, and this is, And when he asked a lot of them, what had happened, their kind of recollection is like, well, yeah, America just came over and dropped this bomb on us for no reason.
Yeah.
It was kind of now that could be a younger. I mean,
But-
obviously the older generation knows exactly
Yeah,
what was
that's
happening.
kids for you.
There's still people. Yeah, there's still people who debate it. But after going island by island during that war
Mhm.
and losing so many men just because they were not willing to give up, and
Yeah.
so much, and they knew, if we keep on getting closer and closer, they're just going to fight harder and harder. This is going to be, we're going to lose hundreds of thousands of soldiers.
Yeah.
And we will literally have to go into every town and every city, and they're going to fight like this all the way through. And that's,
Sad to say, even though it was
look at
very.
Iwo Jima. That was
Yeah.
one prime example. Iwo Jima was like those. I mean, they were ravenous.
Yeah, they
even
would dig into those caves. They would never come out. I mean, they would.
Yeah,
Just,
that
yeah,
took
it's very loud.
forever.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the right answer is or what it would have been.
Yeah.
But I think everything worked out as it was supposed to. Here we
Yeah.
are.
Well, it's easy.
It's really sad.
And this is the thing about history. I think it's easy for us to look with our 2021 glasses and condemn.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Condemn the stuff that happened in the past. We would have never done that. That's terrible. That's awful. It's like, okay, yeah, but that's us looking with our lens from 2021 and condemning
That's right.
those, for 70 years ago, 150 years ago, whatever. And I kind of have a problem with people doing that. It's like, look, you weren't, you weren't alive back then. You don't know.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, another thing about that too is they didn't know just how. I mean, they thought those bombs would just have huge explosions, but then
Right.
people after them started getting sick,
Yeah.
and that's where they learned, hey, radiation poisoning.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't even know just how bad what they were doing, and now that we do know. You notice nobody's, they haven't been used on a place since. It's like a last ditch thing, even last ditch. Like as soon as somebody does it, somebody else is going to do it to them, kind of last ditch,
Right.
Because
completely-
now we know
Yeah.
with our 2020 or,
Uh-huh.
afterwards just how bad those bombs really are. And,
And not to mention, it's
Awful.
completely ineffective if you're actually trying to control territory. Because say you bomb them, well, nobody can go in there
Right.
because it's irradiated.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're basically taking pockets of the planet and making it completely uninhabitable for life. I mean, how is that effective in like taking territory or gaining ground in war?
Right.
It's not. I mean, so it's one of these things. But yeah, I mean, and of course now, the bombs we have now are much more powerful than the atom bomb.
Right.
Well, I think what we're going to see now is EMPs because those are
Yeah.
done with nuclear bombs being destroyed over in the atmosphere, over
Mhm.
key areas that will knock out the power grids and basically send a place into the Stone Age. That way, you don't destroy anything. People just kind of starve because
Right.
there's no more infrastructure.
Yeah.
So.
Do
What are we
you-
talking about?
Hey,
know,
how
strange
did
enough-
we get there?
Well, I think
You
we're
gotta-
talking about.
I don't know. I
you
stepped
know,
away for a second and I come back and I'm lost.
You're like, why you guys
the
talking about
We're
nuclear
talking about the
bombs and-
motivation of villains, and I was talking about how the motivation in a lot of manga is they want to stop
Yeah.
war
Yeah.
because of the atrocities of what they went through and what we were just talking about was why those villains had to be nuanced and stuff. But Americans don't really. I don't know. I mean, do you guys ever write when you write villains? You write. It seems like a lot of people I know write villains as more like personal motivations, as far as like getting revenge or doing something else, or and not more like fixing global problems. Or am I wrong? It seems like a lot of villains are. Oh, I guess they're trying to overtake the world, right? Maybe that's it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
who would want to do that?
I never figured that out either. It's like, why would somebody want to take on responsibility of that? So
I was the assistant principal at a school, I would not want to take over the world.
Well, wait, wasn't there
After be-
wasn't there a song back in the '80s? Everybody wants to rule the world.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
that was
Mhm.
Tears for Fears.
Oh yeah, that's right. God,
Mhm.
how did I just quote Tears for Fears? I hope John Medic is not listening. Oh my
Oh, boy.
gosh.
Quick, somebody message him.
No, I'm ashamed of myself.
I think that's awesome. It's in there.
Yeah, that's one thing about these streams, right? You can't say I didn't say that. I was like, what? Yeah, what? Let's
Yeah.
go check YouTube or Twitch or Facebook.
You said it.
Man, this night has flown by. You guys know what time it is?
Got dark.
It's 10. It's got dark. Says the,
No, I mean for
says
me.
the California lady, it got dark.
Yeah, it's like 8 o'clock on my 7:53 for me.
Yeah, it's like 10:53 here. It's like, good grief, these 2 hours have flown by. And I know we got a late start, but it was only like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. So, well, all right, I guess we can kind of wrap this thing up. So, anybody got anything exciting going on? Any conventions for you guys? Any appearances or?
Strangely enough, for living in near Portland, Oregon, which is this big comic book city, they rarely have conventions around there.
That's just
Like
doesn't
Rose
make
City
any
is the
sense.
only one, and I just have never figured that out. Why? I mean, you have way more conventions in Florida that you've been going to than we've ever had up here.
Yeah.
Like Rose City is the only one, and I've tried to go. I went to a few others, and they would vanish. Like there was one in Salem, and then that one is not happening anymore. And so, yeah, it's really weird. You would think the city would be rife with comic conventions every weekend, but
You would think.
no. You would think,
Yeah.
having Image, Dark Horse, Oni Press, all these companies, you think they'd be all over that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, we've got a couple. We've got a couple of really good show promoters down here. We've got some people
Yeah.
who like conventions, who like what they are, what they do.
Yeah.
Tom, the guy who runs Daytona Beach Comic Con, is a fantastic guy. He's a geek like the rest of us. And I had a really good conversation with him the other day, and just told him how much we appreciated him. And he says, you know what? He goes, I don't know how much longer I'll be able to do this kind of stuff. He goes, but I want to be able to help you guys out. He goes, I see what y'all are doing. And he says, I think it's, I think you're doing good stuff. And he goes, I want to be able to help you out. And I let him know. I said, well, we appreciate that more than what our words can say. So, for those of you listening, that's Daytona Beach Comic Con coming in September. Make your plans to attend. It's probably the coolest Comic Con in our area. We got other folks. Olo was a new show this year, and of course they launched kind of they did their first show kind of in the middle of COVID. So, but it was a great show, and they're already talking about they're going to be doing another one as well. And then the guy today, Greg, who's always putting on the Collecticons, is a fantastic guy and all about the shows. And then there's a guy named Louie who's south of here, does the Kissimmee shows. So we've got folks here that that like comics and like pop geek culture, and they want to do kind of what they can to promote it, So yeah, Aaron, and we're pretty. I'm
It's
pretty
great
lucky to be
'cause-
here.
Yeah. Because, like I said, I've never figured out why Portland. But then again, trying to get Portland artists or Portland comic collectors, even just to get them together to hang out, it's like pulling teeth. I don't understand the whole introvert thing, but oh my god,
Right.
it's like going to some of these, like everyone's standing in the corner. Should I talk to anyone? I'm like, oh my god, just go mingle. Ah, it's
Yeah.
frustrating sometimes on my end.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Anybody else? Anything exciting happening? Boy, this makes us sound like we're a boring crew, doesn't it? We ain't
Yeah.
got nothing.
We're
Yeah, don't have.
we're working
Working on
on your
pages.
books, man.
That's right.
Yeah.
We are
That's
doing
why-
Keep us at home. You're the man. You're the man keeping us down, keeping us in our house.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard anything from Amazing Las Vegas Comic Con. I'm waiting to hear from that one. And then of course there's Daytona, and then I know Memphis Comic and Fantasy out here's happening, and I'll be at that
When is that?
November.
Now that's the
That's the Joe show.
Okay. Yeah. All right. I want to.
I'm waiting to hear if the expo is going to happen.
When you hear that, would you let me know?
I will. I'm planning on messaging Donnie tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. If you hear anything about that, if you would let me know. I've heard good things about that as a comic show, and so.
I know I've said some.
Yeah. Well, not just from you. And now that I've got a pal in Kansas City, and so I'm gonna try to find. So I've got a place to stay. So I'm gonna try to find me a show out in Kansas City. And my daughter's in Nashville now, so I'm gonna start looking for shows in Nashville. Because she'll let me crash with her. So yeah, but I don't.
She
don't
better.
have anything-
Shoot.
What's that?
She better. You housed her for years.
Right, yeah, she crashed with me for 19 years, right?
She'll put you in a tent in the backyard.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, like I always threatened to do to her, right?
Yeah.
I'll take your cell phone away from you.
Okay. Had an emergency.
That's all right. It's all good. We're just kind of winding down here, trying to see if anybody has anything to say before we call it a night. You guys don't forget, John, you streaming tomorrow night?
Crap! I totally forgot about that.
I would say that's either a no or
Right.
wait. I'm what am I doing?
Well, I know I don't have anybody lined up for
Okay.
tomorrow, so
All right.
that's not a problem. So I don't know.
All right. Well, you guys keep your eyes posted for John to stream maybe tomorrow night. Don't forget our Wednesday Whammers will be on here this coming Wednesday. And if they are listening, Scott, I am expecting a strongly worded letter from you of condemnation because we didn't do the Masterpiece Theater. But guys, we'll do this next week. Although I'm not sure we'll do the same books as them, but we might. But we'll do Masterpiece Theater. And if you paid attention to what they did Wednesday, we're going to do a little bit differently than what we did the first time. So I'm not going to give you any warnings in case you didn't pay attention to Wednesday. But we're gonna do a little bit different, and we'll plan to do that our Masterpiece Theater next Sunday. So.
And Roland, I don't know if you realize this, but it's kind of on the page, so we can always go back and watch it.
I know. Yeah.
When he takes it down.
But will you?
Video no longer listed.
Will you though? Will you go back? I mean, I understand you can, but will you? And you can't listen to the podcast yet because we're still podcasts are still about 10 months behind. For all of you listening to the podcast, I'm sorry that it seems all this information is still relevant. It's just not up to date. So for you Kickstarter backers, please fill out your surveys. Try to get those done, if you will, by Wednesday. I think it's the date that I gave you on there so that I can get the thank you page done and get all the files sent to our wonderful printers at Kablam. And then they can start processing that and get those books printed, and then we can get those out into your hands. John, where can folks find you online?
You can find me pretty much all over the interwebs. Facebook, Twitter. What are those other pages? Instagram. I have a TikTok page. I'm slowly trying to do stuff on it. And And of course, I have a Patreon that I have been neglecting terribly. And I apologize for that, everybody that is on my Patreon. I will eventually get caught up on that. Um, I mean, other than that, I mean, that's where you can find me unless you see me out about at a convention. Any of the ones that I've named. Um, that's
Yeah.
where I'll be.
Thank you, sir. I missed a handful of comments while we were talking about some of this. Cassisi said that we shouldn't downplay the opportunity to show force and establish dominance with a new weapon, though. I tend to agree with that. Cassisi is, I don't think he is currently active, but I know that if I remember correctly, and Cassisi, correct me if I'm wrong, Cassisi is former military. So I think he's got a very unique perspective on that as well. Stephen Brown said, when I wrote one of my villains, I wrote one of them to where they have everything, but they learn there's one thing they can't have, that they would do anything to get it. And then he says, where can I find these conventions that we're talking about? Let's see. What did we mention? So Daytona Beach Comic Con is obviously Daytona Beach, Florida. John, you mentioned which one you mentioned? The one John mentioned the ones in Memphis.
And the amazing Las Vegas Comic Con. I'm just waiting to hear when the dates are going to be for that.
Which is obviously in Las Vegas. Let's see here. What was the other one? I'm trying to remember the other ones we mentioned. I can't remember any other ones we mentioned specifically. The one that I just got back from today was held in Leesburg, Florida. So, and Hyper Potato, what's up, Hyper? So good to see you here. It said the Infinity Con show was in Tallahassee this weekend, and it was fun. You know, Hyper, I'm so glad that you got to go. Hopefully you saw some of my pals there. I know Martin Piero was there with Cosmic Times. I'm not sure who else was there. I don't remember if Jamie Jones was there or not. But I know that I have mentioned to you specifically before that I have reached out to Infinity show in Tallahassee on more than one occasion, and I just can't get them to answer me, and I don't know why. Roberta, do you know who is in Tallahassee or was a few years ago?
No, you'll have to tell me.
Jennifer Schellinger.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So I keep wanting to. I mean, that's not the only reason I want to do a show in Tallahassee, obviously, but I really like to do a show in Tallahassee because I'd like to see her again.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And Stephen, you've asked a question here that I'm going to belay. I'm going to ask you to hold off on that question until the next time because I think this is going to be a long question. Stephen asked, what's our opinion on Comixology? Or as Aaron says, Cosmicology. And we will...
I have to see everything wrong.
Because you just like things that are cosmic. And but I think that's an interesting conversation that I think we can have, but certainly not as I look at my clock. It's 6. We've gone an hour, so
We
certainly
gotta go.
certainly it's time to shut off now. So but do ask that again, and we'll talk about that. We'll ask the Whammers as well, and then we can talk about it too, because I think that's a conversation worth having. We actually talked about that a little bit after the show today. Cosmicology, listen to me now. Comixology and some of the other things like that. Oh, you chatted with Martin. Oh, cool. Very cool. Yeah, he said he was having a great show. Good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad. I've heard great things about the show, and like I said, I would like to go. Yeah, I like Martin. You might have gotten one of the Silverline Cosmic Times flip bookmarks we did, Hyper. I think you might have. I'm not real sure. But I'm glad you got to talk to Martin. Martin's a good guy. And Inverse Press was there, yeah. Oh, shoot, I see his face. Kevin, I think. Yeah, so man, that sounds like a good show. Sounds like you had a good one as well. Sorry that it was a little far for you to come, and I'm not kidding you, Hyper. I am still trying to find a show up in your neck of the woods. Still trying to find something in the South Georgia area that I can make the drive up to. But I'm just not having any luck. So I know I have asked you before, but I will ask you again. If you know of any that are there, please let me know. I'm not shy about reaching out. Aaron, tell folks where they can find you online. I like your shirt, by the way.
Silverline shirt?
Yeah.
Facebook on Humphreys Illustration, or my name, Aaron Humphreys. Instagram at ALH 3810, and then Webtoons. You can find my Gollings comic if you want to read it. And then I think there's a link to my store too down in the below the video.
Cool.
That you can go buy stuff at my store.
Nice.
It's Humphreys Illustration at BigCartel.com, something like that. So.
Cool. Quentin, what about you? Where can folks find you online?
You can find me on Facebook as Quentin Bedwell. Also on Discord, Kenobi, QENOBIE. And also I have a board game that is an open beta on GameCrafter.com. It's called Relic Quest. DeviantArt, QJB. So all over the place. And as I always like to remind everybody, I have a MySpace account from the 2009. So if you want to drop by there, I don't remember what my name is on there.
Yeah,
I think it's like
dial up.
He's still got MP4s of his band practice up there.
Yep. That's right. I'm just about to get on TikTok, so I don't know that information yet, but I'm going to put some dance videos, some interpretive dance. No nudies.
You and Tommy are going to have to do one of those duos. Yeah. Yeah, I had this fantastic idea for one of these videos for us at one point in time. The problem is it would take some time and coordination to do, and I don't have the time and to coordinate it. So I'm gonna find someone who will do some of these things for us for TikToks. But that's another
videos?
That's another story on. You said it. It's on. You can't take it back, right? So I will. Roby, what about you? Where can folks find you on the interwebs?
Sure, you can look for me under Roby Conroy in Facebook and in Instagram. Check it out.
Nice. And I am Roland Man. You can find me mostly hanging out on the Silverline pages, but you can find me also on the Twitters and the tweeters and the Instagrams, which my family tells me I need to do all of those even more on Facebook, and basically any kind of social media, you will probably find me there. Just look for my I had a card here I was gonna hold up. Just look for my caricature, and you will find me there. And until next time, you guys. Oh, hold on. Let me shut this off here. We'll go back to the grid. Until next time, you guys know what to say, right? Make mine Silverline. All right. Good night, everybody.
Woo!
Oh, that's right. I got to stop.